Period. That's so exciting. I love that because I came from like a biology and implementation background. And when I started my tech career, I was like working as an implementation consultant for a company building like AI for doctors. And so yeah, that's like super cool that you're working with like blockchain and implementing that in like the medical field.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what my background's in. So I have an undergraduate in medical physics and biomedicine, and then graduating from my doctoral program this December in biomedicine as well. So I plan to continue with science and technology moving forward with Web3. So I'm really excited.
I love that. And I think it says a lot about the tech industry and Web3 too, that like it can be integrated with whatever you do currently, with whatever like your domain of expertise is. So that's amazing. Ms. Build Pretty, tell us about you.
Hey everyone, my name is Scarlett. I am the founder of Feel Pretty. Feel Pretty is an educational ecosystem for women interested in learning and building and connecting and all that good stuff in Web3. We launched actually, August after a rebrand. So I'm pretty new in comparison to like Baddies and maybe some other communities, but we're excited to be here. We're actually a partner community for Baddies in Tech. I wasn't expecting to speak today, but I'm excited to get to know everyone here. I co-sign 100% what Valerie said. Kai, your background is amazing, so kudos to you. And yeah.
It's by force, Scarlett. It is by force to speak. You must share your story. Crypto Tutu, do you want to unmute and just introduce yourself and your background and what you do in the space?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm a founder of a Web3 product called CoLab, and we're pretty much extending what people currently do with their current wellness and fitness applications into Web3 and allowing people to actually also monetize that data if they choose to. So it's kind of giving people control back of their health and fitness data. Of course, it comes with all the other Web3 perks of X to Earth, but that's the main goal of the product. Really happy to be here. So thank you so much for having me. And I get really giddy about being in spaces with women in tech, because then you get to kind of let loose and really have a real conversation about what's going on. So really happy to be part of this conversation for sure. So thanks for inviting me up on stage.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. And I love that, you're building a Web3 app, because I'm sure at some point, if not already, like you are looking for talent. And I'd love to hear like the perspective of, an employer in the Web3 space, and like what you look for when you're looking for people to join your team and people to collaborate with. So that's amazing. Thank you for joining us. I think I'm going to hand off moderation duties to Valerie. I guess what I'm going to say before I do that is, today we're really going to be focused on, like I said earlier, our stories, right? How did we get into tech? Why did we get into tech? And then how and why did we transition to Web3, if we are transitioning or have transitioned? And then any tips that we have to share to anyone who is interested in Web3 or wants to join the space as well. I think before we do that, though, by show of hands, like, how many people understand, like, what Web3 is? Or I guess maybe the better question is, how many people don't understand what Web3 is? So just, like, wave your hand with the emoji if you don't understand what Web3 is, so we can give, like, a quick 5-year-old definition. I'm not seeing any hands.
Valerie, are you on hands? There we go.
Okay, so most people do understand Web3, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, there's a few hands.
Yeah, there's a really big lag between the speakers and the audience. It's actually super annoying. Do you think we should just give a definition maybe for people who listen to this recording and might not know?
Yeah, 100%. That's a good idea. Okay, cool. So I guess I can start with my definition and then go down. We can go down the line and like everyone else can give their definition. Because I think that Web3 is such a big space, and people are working with different things, and so they might have different perspectives on what Web3 is and what it's going to do for the internet. But I guess the simplest way that I found to explain Web3 is by putting into perspective like what quote unquote Web 1 and Web 2 are. So how like I contextualized it is like Web 1 was read only, right? So Web 1 was like back in 2000 when people had dial up. You could, dial up onto the internet and you could like read like Yahoo News, right? And that was like the extent of the functionality that you could do on the internet. It was very limited. You couldn't contribute as a content creator. You didn't really have any say on what was on the internet. It was just kind of like the giant centralized powers. And then a couple years went by, and then Web 2 came around, and Web 2 was like read and write. So Web 2, MySpace comes along, people can like create a wall, you can, decorate it with like CSS, and you can do your little HTML coding. And, you can create content on the internet. And I think the evolution of that has been Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Medium. There's so many avenues for creating content now and like participating in both in the internet in both like a read from a reading capacity, but also from a writing capacity and a content creation capacity. But as you think about the content that we create now, it's like who owns that content? Once you put it on Twitter, once you put it on Instagram, that's centralized power owns the content. And like really the only way you can monetize that content is like if a brand, like you got a brand deal, someone paid for you to like create content for them. At the end of the day, once you create the content, you put it on the platform, that content now belongs to them, and that data no longer belongs to you. So now the next iteration of the internet is like read, write, and own. So you can not only read content on the internet and contribute content and create content, but you can also own the rights and the data for what you create and what you put on the internet. So the whole point of Web3 then is to decentralize ownership of data, ownership of power, ownership of finances, and kind of democratize and allow people to own their own data and for it to be forever stored as them, like recorded as them owning it, right? And so that's what the blockchain is. It allows you to, it's essentially a different type of database and allows you to store content or store data in a way that is can't be changed. And essentially that's because like the blockchain, the underlying technology of the blockchain, in the way that it's created and mined, is like it takes so much computing power that like as you add more and more blocks to the chain, it gets harder and harder to change it. And so use cases for like our communities, right? Like a good one is in the past, a lot of like IP has been stolen from Black communities. A lot of like, let's say like patents, right? Like you invent something and you file a patent, like that's easily stolen and then like monetized by bigger powers and the like. And so with the blockchain, you can essentially store your IP in a way that can't be removed from you. And so I think that's like one use case of like the blockchain and how like our communities can benefit from it. I hope that made sense. It's really hard to explain sometimes, and I think like getting your hands dirty with it really makes it come alive, but I hope that was helpful. Does anyone else have a definition they want to offer?
I think you kind of said it well, that it means so much to different people. And I guess it depends on the lens that you're using to look at it and what actually makes sense to your life or your application or what you're trying to do. If you're an artist, it means something different to you because you apply it differently. For me, like I mentioned earlier, I am pretty much using blockchain technology and AI technology, by the way, in my product. but where it makes the biggest sense, it's around data ownership, like you mentioned. And the idea for me in my application is that right now you sign on to Facebook and to Google and all these other applications, and they sell a bunch of things to you. They market a lot of things to you. They make money on the market. I mean, on the back end for it, but you don't see a dollar of it, right? If anything, you might even be spending, your time is money, right? So at the end of the day, they make all the revenue, but you see zero of it. But what Web3 allows us to do is to give that ownership back to the actual owners, and then allow people to pick and choose if they want to monetize their data and opt in and out at the speed of light, instead of having to try to figure out, why is my name showing up here? Why are these people selling these things to me? So it's another way of controlling your information, owning your data, and then if you choose to actually get to see the bottom line in terms of the dollars and cents that comes back to you for allowing people to market to you. So I'll give my mic. Thanks.
That was a great definition, and I love what you said about opting in and out and like giving people the power to choose. There's this Web3 protocol called Disco, that is essentially creating like data backpacks. They're not like physical backpacks, but essentially like a modular way to see like your identity on the internet and what's out there about you, and then be able to like revoke or give permissions to whatever piece of your data you want to whatever application in real time and like at will. So yeah, I think that would be a really cool future. Like if we could really just like only give the piece of our data that was needed in a certain use case, and then like be able to revoke that when it was no longer needed, and just like be able to like see what other people can see about us. So that's really cool. Does anyone else have a definition of Web3 they'd like to share?
No, I think both of those definitions do a really great job at explaining the positives of Web3. As many things that there are positive about it, I just like to share that if it's not built correctly, there are a lot of things that could go wrong. But that's why, again, we're having this conversation so that we can make sure more of us are in the room to make sure that our concerns for ourselves, for our communities, and the people who we grew up around are at the forefront and won't be an afterthought. So I think the more we just become open to talking about what this stuff is, how it could affect our communities for the good and bad, the better it will be. I also pinned up a tweet that came from the Tech by Choice Web3 account, the Meta Tea House. And that is just like a visual of what the different iterations of the internet is. If you check out that thread, it's a lot of information about Web3 basics. So yeah, that's just a thread that I like to share when I'm just sharing with people what Web3 is and what it could be. So yeah.
Awesome. Auntie Kai, do you have a definition of Web3?
Yeah, so for me, Web3 just embraces decentralization, like being built and operated by its own users. Web3 puts the power in your hands, and rather than bigger, larger corporations. So for me, I like that Web3 is for the people, and especially with blockchain technology, it's a decentralized public ledger. So it allows organizations to connect via nodes like we talked about, data storage and processing. So it's a lot more to it. And for me, I just like to discuss how blockchain technology can be implemented in other industries. So not just thinking of the DeFi space, but I know Web3 attorneys, so people who are studying the legal and practical implications of Web3. I know people in health and finance, supply chain management field, insurance, and even in real estate. Like a lot of real estate agents are even merging towards blockchain technology. So you'll no longer need to go through escrow to purchase a home. You'll use a smart contract, and it executes in less than 5 minutes. For a fraction of the cost, and it's also secure. So those are just some pinpoints that Web3 does for me, like what I've seen in my own personal use case.
I love that. That's like, yeah, I think like Crypto22 said, like it's really what the use case is for you, and I think that's like really important when you're starting your Web3 journey, is like finding that use case for yourself. So, you know, for me, it was like when I learned about DAOs, I was like, oh shit, like this is what I've been trying to build. And like, that's when I like really went down the rabbit hole. So yeah, I think it's like really figuring out the use case for you that kind of like sparks that interest. And then you kind of are just, yeah, after that you're a degen. So
Yeah. I think what got us into Web3 is closely tied to our own personal journeys and to like how we navigated tech. So maybe we should jump into that part of the conversation. And I want to hear from everyone. What was their tech journeys like, and where are you currently, and how did you get here? Does anyone want to kick us off and start first?
I can go. Okay, so my tech journey started back in 2018. I don't have a tech background in terms of my education. I graduated with a BS in biology, and my tech like interest started with biotechnology. I was learning about like CRISPR tech and like genome editing and stuff like that, and it's like being like an African kid, they push you towards like doctor, engineer, lawyer. So that's what I pursued in school. But once I saw the application of like technology in healthcare, I was like, I want to do this. And it just, I think also had like back then for me had tied to like DEI work. Like in that course, I went to PWI, so I was like the only Black girl in that course, and we had done like an ethics unit before we kind of dove in. And it was just about how like all the research was being done on people of like Caucasian descent, and none of it was being done on people of African descent, and it was just like an injustice to me. And so even back then, like without being in like DEI and tech, without being like a tech recruiter in DEI, like I kind of had that passion, and so that's kind of what led me towards like the tech industry. And so then I started my career, like I said earlier, as like a tech implementation consultant. I was working with a startup that was building AI to help doctors complete their medical notes. And then, through that experience, I was like the 10th employee in that startup, was the only Black person, only Black girl, no tech background. I was definitely like looking for a community and like a network of people. And so, Diamond Tech came from that. It was just me really like looking for a support network, and I started it, and then other people kind of was like, I'm a baddie in tech too, and then it just grew from there very organically. And then I think, going back to that point of like trying to build a support network, trying to like create something, like create a space that would support me. I think like I've never really wanted baddies in tech to like be about me, and so I think when I found like DAOs and I started learning about decentralization and what like a decentralized autonomous organization was, it made a lot of sense for what I had always set out to build. And I had been actually invested in crypto since like 2017, but didn't really know the underlying technology of blockchain, didn't really understand it. And so again, it was like really finding that use case for me that sparked it, and I went down the rabbit hole and have like been learning about all about like Web3, all about decentralization, what DAOs are, what like the goal of like coordination is, and aligning around like a common goal, and how like Web3 empowers that. And now, I think for me, as I learn more about it, and as I like look at, the DEI and tech space now in terms of Web 2 and like what it could be in Web 3, I see that like with Web 2 having like worked at like a Web 2 organization in like DEI recruitment for over a year, what I see is that like Web 2 companies, like they say they want diversity, but they want like a unicorn. They're looking for a Black woman with 5+ years of experience in site reliability engineering. And then they like ignore the fact that like systemic problems have kept us from the industry until very recently, and that yes, we do have Black women who are, you know, senior site reliability engineers, but that pool is very small. And it's like really important for us to create opportunities for people to gain these skills and for us to really grow talent. But the Web2 space is like really mature, and they're not as willing to compromise in terms of like their requirements and to give like opportunities to junior talent. And so what I see with Web3 is like, you know, there's that opportunity for us to get in very early. Like no one's really expecting you to have 5 years of experience in smart contract development. And so it's a really good opportunity for us to like learn the skills now, get in early, and like be a part of that next wave. And so I see it not only as like a tool for coordination and for building a network that is decentralized, but also as an opportunity for our communities. And so that's like why Web3 for me. And now I think I want to do like Web3 like recruitment consulting, or like Web3 like just be like a Web3 recruiter. I'm actually having a coffee chat with a Web3 recruiter next week to kind of like learn about how she transitioned. And so yeah, like I just say that to say like it's definitely possible to like take your Web2 skills and apply it to Web3.
I love to hear it. And I think when we talk about transitions and navigating tech careers, a lot of what we do is just explaining to people how the skills we already have help us to land that next job, to get those big tech checks, and we can have a lot of fun doing it. It is going to be stressful, but I think everyone's tech journey is different. Whether you're going to be a recruiter, you're going to work on blockchain tech, or if you decide to stay in Web 2, there's a lot of similarities there. For me, getting into tech was all about getting to the money. I was realizing that I was graduating college, had 1 year left, and studying psychology and art, and realized there's no way I can afford to support myself living in LA, being a broke college student, living the life that I wanted to live, because go big or go home is the only thing I know. The same goes for my bank account, and my bank account at that time was at home 24/7. It wasn't going nowhere. But when I started doing research and realizing that I had to find something else and I had to quickly pivot, one of the first things that popped up for me in my Google search is web development was a great thing that you can learn if you wanted to work from home. And in my mind at that moment, I could work from home and still go to grad school. Did I do those things? No. Did I learn how to code? Yes. But it took me a while to get there. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of what the fuck moments. There was a lot of, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I belong here. I don't know what this space actually is. And a lot of the same feelings that I had entering tech are a lot of the same things that I'm seeing people struggle with Web3. When I was entering tech, there was a lot of people who led me down the wrong path, made me feel like I could not learn this stuff. There was moments and times where I felt like, you know what? If I can't get through a meetup that's supposed to teach me JavaScript without crying, how the hell am I supposed to go find a job and get paid to do this? How is this supposed to be my 9 to 5? And so over time, I started to find community that actually supported me, and for the most part, got me into tech. They did not meet me where I was at, but they gave me enough leverage so I could figure out how to make this work, because there was no way I was going to say no to money. I had too much that I had to balance between supporting myself, supporting my family, and to show up for my community, to show them that just because tech looks like this white cisgendered male-dominated industry doesn't mean that I can show up, make the same amount of money as them, and have a good time doing it. So after a couple years going down that path of trying to get in, and I got in, I tried to figure out to find a way to stay. Once I figured out that, I'm like, okay, cool, I got it. I need to see more people who look and sound like me and look and sound like the people I grew up around to be here, because these parties are not lit. They got a lot of money. They got a lot of alcohol. Why they got this good DJ, but they're not nobody dancing? Like, I couldn't take it no more. I went to Google I/O and I was so confused, because I'm like, y'all spending this much money on a party, but nobody's here ready to get lit. Like, what is this? Like, we gotta get some more people here. And so that's what I did with Tech by Choice. And so as we started to build out the community, we tried to put a lot of emphasis on building support that I lacked in my journey. I hear a lot of the same things with baddies in tech. The support that we did not see, we build that into our communities to make sure that people who are going down this path, no matter what role you're in, you can have that same support system that we didn't get to have. And I think that is something that's really key. I went through all of this, had lots of transitions, worked at a lot of different types of companies, and now I'm currently an engineering manager at a mental health startup that I actually like to work at, which is super fucking wild, because if anybody who knows me outside of like Twitter, you know I don't really care for the places that I work for. This is the first time that I've worked at a company that I actually enjoy. So I'm happy to be here, happy to share this stage with some amazing, amazing people who are all about community and trying to make sure that other people have the same experience of being able to get in, being able to stay, and being able to thrive, whether you're working in Web 1, 2, or Web 3, because as much as people are talking about Web 3, I need y'all to know a lot of these government jobs that pay a lot of money are still on Web 1. So we talking about blockchain and stuff. We just got to be ready to build whatever the paycheck is going to tell us we need to build. So I need us to get on that, right? So I want to hear about some other stories. What are some other journeys? Because I need people to get inspired. I need them to know, like, this is for us. We can do it. We had our struggles. We got through it. And by the end of it, we need to know that we can continue to grow in this space. So I don't want to put nobody on the spot, because I want to make sure that y'all got the time to get your stories together. Crypto Tutu, I see that you're on mute. So are you ready to like share with us what your tech journey has been like so far?
Yes, sure. I was hoping I'll go now so I can get to eat my dinner after I go. But yeah, well, thank you for what you just said. I think I really love what you said around the whole Web 1 thing, and how there's so much opportunities out there. Like, there's just too many opportunities in 1, 2, or 3. I actually think the greatest opportunity is in the 1, because you can actually bring them from 1 into 2 into 3 and make a whole lot of money doing it. But for me, my tech journey actually started a while back. I've always known, since I was a kid, that I would be an engineer. I pretty much broke everything, right, and try to fix it. I think the last thing I broke and couldn't fix was it was the vacuum cleaner, and did I get it? But growing up, yes. But I do have an engineering background, but I didn't have the software technology background. I have a minor in computer science, but after doing Java, I just told myself there was no way in heaven that, people who know how to code have a different set of brains. I don't know what it is, but definitely my hat's off. So I actually do more of QA testing for my project. So my journey into Web3 started, it was a completely freak accident, and this was in 2013. And I saw something about, Bitcoin. I think it was localbitcoin.com. And back then you have to meet people, like physically meet people to actually buy your Bitcoin. So I met this young man at the bank who sold me 2 Bitcoins at the time. And I went home thinking, well, I was just scammed, but okay. But he told me, hey, when you get home, look in your, on the website, you'll see the number 2 somewhere. So you can kind of see the evolution of how far we've come with blockchain technology, where now you can actually buy things off the exchanges and everything is good and dandy. But to become a founder is a different experience in Web3, especially for me as a woman of color. 90% of those who know me in blockchain, even till today, they think I'm a man. They really don't, so if you tell me a name, I know where you met me. Like if you met me on Discord or on Telegram, depending on what you call me, I know where I met you or when I met you. Just because, back then, if you tell them you're a female, it's either you become, sexualized and people are trying to figure out what your picture looks like, or they no longer want to talk tech around you because they don't think you know what you're doing. But even though I didn't fully practice, in industry, I spent, 19 years of my career in engineering management, in design and development, in R&D, but it was more for products. So I decided that I would just, if you want to call me a dude in this space, then call me a dude. I'll take it, But I really wanted to stick with the tech. And over time, I joined several projects. I became a community manager for certain projects. And just because I wanted to learn what it meant to be a team member in these spaces. So between 2013 and 2000, I pretty much served different projects. Some of them actually did not pay me, and some promised to pay me when they launched, and then they just disappear or they find a reason not to. So we can have a different conversation about that another day, about how you get your money out of these projects, especially when they want you to feel that you have to, do some volunteer work just because you're part of a community. No, they're not going to be getting, free money off the exchanges, so you shouldn't be doing free work anyway. So okay, I digress. But so with that, I kept building, right? 2020, 2021, I was building, my product was actually a femtech product. I used to go on Clubhouse many Sundays, and I'll pitch this project in the room. I don't know if anybody knows Sarah, but she used to run a room for women in tech. And I would just pitch and pitch and pitch, and they would give me feedback. And there was one day, this lady called Lily said, hey, this product you're talking about could be used by both sexes. Like, you don't have to make this a femtech project. And I was completely irritated when she said it, because, after you spend so much time, I literally learned how to deploy my own smart contracts. I taught myself so many pieces of, coding that it just became, so stressful for someone to now tell me that after all this work and also hiring a developer to support me, now you want me to pivot. But a week later, I came back to my senses, and it made complete sense that she gave me great advice. So with that, I pivoted, and it did pay off, because early this year, I became part of the Binance Lab incubated programs, and they preceded my project. So with that alone came so much, incredible opportunities for me, for the project, and so much exposure that now I'm able to build comfortably and hire the right team of people to take on the work that I was doing myself. So if anything that I want to bring out of this for everyone is, it doesn't matter where you find yourself. I think what's important is that you know what you want to do, and then you dive deep into it, and you give your time and your effort into it. There's so many times that we think, I've spent, 10 hours on this. Oh, it's too hard. No. You need, 10,000 hours to be an expert in something. You just have to keep going. You have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. There are many days I didn't want to get up and do this. Even last night I was thinking, how am I going to survive today? But I saw this space and I said, well, I need to get on because, I don't know what this is going to bring. But it's like you just literally have to be intentional about continuing and keep going. Did I find a lot of help along the way? I did. I did have a lot of people who supported me. Did I find a lot of people who told me I was crazy? Absolutely. There were probably more than the people that told me that I could do it. But I knew what I wanted to do. I kept at it. I'm a stubborn person, and it paid off. Can I say I'm completely successful now? No. Until the day we launch, and 5 years from now and 10 years from now, if we're not driving value to the people, I don't think that I've arrived yet. So I'll stop there, but there's so much I can unpack, but I don't want to hug up the entire stage. But thank you.
No, thank you, Crypto Tutu. I'm so happy to hear about your story and your journey, and glad to connect with you. There are so many things that we can learn from you, especially about how to make sure we get that money after putting in the work. So definitely, I know you need to go eat, so feel free to drop when you need to. But I would love to connect with you after this event. But yeah, let's keep going. I want to continue to learn about everyone's journey in tech. Auntie Kay, would you like to share your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say first and foremost, it's okay to get in tech for the money. Like seriously, I don't want anybody to tell you that that's not okay. It's totally 100% fine. Just want to start by saying that. But for me, I grew up always knowing that I wanted to be a doctor. That's what my education is in. My undergrad is in biomedicine and biophysics. Same thing with my master's and pending doctoral as well. But it was something about Bitcoin back in 2015 that was amusing to me. I was a very peculiar child, if you would say. My mom told me, don't invest your money into that stuff. Like, it's not real. But of course, I was a hard-headed child. I still invested my money back in 2015, not knowing what Bitcoin was. Bitcoin was very cheap at the time as well. But I still went for it. During this time, I was an anesthesia technologist, so I was working in the hospital. During late night shifts, I was studying about cryptocurrency, the mechanics that ran behind it. I didn't know anything about Web3. I was like, what is this new thing, Web3, wallets, all of this? So I started to really encase myself in it. So at that point, I told my mom, sorry, Mom, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. Like, this is not what I want to do. Web3 is for me. She looked at me absolutely crazy, but that was my passion. From then, I knew that I wanted to do it, so I started to go down the rabbit hole. I started to figure out, what was protocols, what's staking, what's farming. I took it all the way to the point where I started mining Bitcoin from my house. I was doing cloud mining. I had solar panels set up and everything to, compress the computing energy and power. So at that point, I'm like, yeah, you're crazy. You're definitely a Web3 girl, but how can we tie this back into healthcare? I actually landed my first Web3 job on Twitter, so I definitely advocate for using your platform to what's good. So now, I currently work at a biotech company, so my company allows me to work within the augmented space, work within virtual reality, bringing science and technology to life. So now I'm able to build in Web3. Also, my concentration is in smart contracts. So I was able to learn Solidity, which is the main coding language that you use when executing a smart contract. I just want to shout out Learn Web3 DAO and Web3 University. Those were my two main resources that made me who I am today. And I will tell any and everybody that. But for this space specifically as a woman, it's very hard navigating through the Web3 space as a Black woman, a Hispanic woman, a woman of color, period. So spaces like this really have me excited to be able to provide education and resources for people who may also want to seek, building in Web3, because this is such, an amazing space. It's transforming the internet as we know. So I'm really excited for me. And my tech journey wasn't easy, but it was definitely rewarding. So if anyone is considering leaving an industry to pivot towards Web3, I 100% condone you doing that as well.
Yes, I love hearing that. I love the shout out for the resources, because those are things that we all need so that we can continue to make our own path. Because even if you go into tech doing one thing, you don't got to keep doing it. Like, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want to do it. And I think that's so important. Another shout out to you for letting people know it's 100% okay to be in this space for money. And if anybody has anything to say about that, you need to ask them if they would be able to pay their rent and passion. And if the answer is yes, let me know where they live. Is it a nice building? Because I'm tired of paying rent. I'm tired of being an adult. I would love to have that set up. And if they don't have that answer, they need to know that they just need to be quiet. Mind the business that pays them, okay?
I'll be 100% honest. Like, smart contracts is what pays all my bills. Like, 100% Web3 funds my entire lifestyle. So if you want to live the soft girl life that you see on TikTok, buying all of that stuff, yes, tech is what does it for me. Contracts pay the bills. And that's why I'm so happy when people say, like, oh, let me learn about smart contracts. Yes, please do. because you can get on projects ranging between 10,000 and 100,000 just to write one contract. So if you're getting on projects like 48 Yacht Club, which is one of the biggest NFT projects in the Web3 space, and some other ones to name as well, they're paying literally thousands of dollars just for you to be a part of that 1% who knows how to code smart contracts to have their program run successfully. So if you're looking into smart contracts, feel free to reach out. I'm more than open, to give you resources and be an open book as well, because it's free money, and look, I'm trying to get y'all free money too.
Let's continue to always get to the money, share those resources, share that insight, because look, I'm not going to block nobody's blessings, and I for sure am not going to block nobody's bag. But let's continue to learn from everybody on the stage. I want to take a moment to go ahead and welcome Scar. Thank you so much for joining us. Just wanted to say hello. But I do want to jump over to learn about Build Pretty and their journey into tech.
Can I just say that shout out to all of y'all, because first of all, y'all stories are amazing and I love it. And then I'm a Black woman in this space, and I always feel like the token Black girl, the person who's like, oh yeah, it's just her that everybody dismissed because everyone else is of other race. So I love the fact that I can see others that look like me and can relate to my struggle. So just shout out to literally everyone who just shared their story today. But yeah, so I don't come from a tech background. My background is actually in fashion and event production. I produce runway shows, all kind of craziness up in New York City, just literally running the city and living my life. I've always been into fashion, been into creativity, I've been into film. So that's just, I've gravitated towards that. And I would say all throughout my early to late 20s, that's pretty much what I did. And then within that time, I also started my own company. I had no idea what I was doing. But the reason I started my company called Pretty Media was because I wanted to talk about fashion in a way that I felt no one else was. I'm originally from Atlanta, born and raised. So down here, we didn't have fashion magazines and, things like that. The only thing you could potentially see was a Vogue. And no disrespect to Vogue, but that's just not my vibe. So I was like, I can't find what I'm looking for, so I created it. And I called it Pretty Media, which actually originated from Cocaine Pretty, which was a blog name I ain't gonna get into, but yeah. So we're at Pretty Media, and I'm doing my tech or my fashion journey and things like that. And I was producing fashion magazines, doing the printing and all this stuff, and just sort of learning about running a business. I had no idea what I was doing, I'll tell you that now. But I definitely sold magazines and just got to experience that whole aspect of life and learning. And then, let's see, fast forward, the pandemic hit. We're talking COVID and all this stuff, and it just became a really scary place if you was in New York during that time, because New York is always packed. You're always going to see people in Times Square. It's always just insanely, amount of people just enjoying their lives. And so for the pandemic to hit and everything just became no one was on the street. No one was in Times Square. I had never seen anything like that before in my life. My mom was calling me listen, I think you need to come back down to Atlanta because we don't know what's going on. And, we couldn't really figure anything out. She was telling me grocery stores were selling out of stuff and things like that. And I don't know, it just became real crazy. And I was the only one in New York, no family or anything like that was up there with me. So I was like, you know what, maybe she's right. So I came back down to Atlanta, and during that time, someone that I listened to a lot is Gary Vee, and he kept talking about NFTs. Gary Vee is a very positive person. If you don't watch him, he's always talking about ways to get to the money, even if you're broke. He will give you a million ways to make money and tell you literally have no excuse. He also will change just your mental, how you think about things, your perspective, the way you see things that happen in life, and just how to push through. So I listening to him just because he motivates me. And one day he was ranting on about these NFTs, and I think the first project I ever heard him really, really talk about was Women and Weapons, I think is the name of the project. And he was like, yeah, NFTs is going to be a game changer because they're going to allow you to sell your art directly to your audience and you get that money back. It's not going to be a middleman. It's not going to be any gatekeeping. It's not going to be anything like that. He said, I think this is going to change the game for creators. So I was like, okay, well, let me look into this and see what it's about. And when I looked into it, I just was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, the return on this is insane just from a creator standpoint, since that's where I come from. But then I also saw it as like, if we're this early in this tech, you know, I think that's a game changer just for being Black. You know, we haven't been allowed, quote unquote, in this space coming from a Web2 perspective. It's always like a whole bunch of hurdles and just unnecessary crap that I don't want to, you know, dive too deep into. But I feel like this right here is like an equilibrium. Like, this right here is our way to make some serious money, like Kay said, or whoever it was that said it. And we can be at the forefront. Like, we can actually be pioneering this space, which I found really exciting and really interesting. And I'm gonna tell you now, I did not know any when I tell you, the only thing I knew was basic like HTML and CSS. I can code you a website real quick. I learned that way back in like the MySpace days. But when it came to like JavaScript, React, you know, things like that people get hired for in Web2, I didn't know any of that. So I sort of just dove in 2020, and I was like, I'm gonna just learn how to code, you know, at least learn some basics of Web2 and like see what's going on, see, you know, what I really like about this. And I liked it. I was like, oh yeah, I could do this, you know, coding, and I like to make stuff look cute. I like to see a website like piece it together, going from pretty much scratch to like, okay, this is cute. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see myself being a front end developer, you know. And then I was like, I can see myself being like a front end developer for Web3. And so that's sort of how my mind developed into like getting interested into Web3. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I actually start learning about Web3 without like paying no money? Because see, you know, people, they're going to try to get over, they're going to try to scam, they're going to try to be like, oh yeah, it's $20,000 for you to take this course, $10,000 for you to take this course. Like, sir, first of all, Web3 is new. Ain't nobody, absolutely nobody, I don't care what y'all tell me, nobody is a pro at this Web3 thing. It's way too new for that to be the case. So if you're charging people $20,000 and all these outrageous prices that people be telling me, you scamming. So I was like, no, I need to find a way to learn this that isn't like, you know, when I feel like they're trying to get me out my money. And I also felt like it needs to be structured. Like, you know, some people would do YouTube videos and things like that. I love YouTube University because you can go in there and literally learn anything. So shout out to YouTube. But I wanted it to be a bit more structured. Like, actually, when I go through this, I've created a project and I could see how this code works together from the back end, like a smart contract, all the way to the front end of like a decentralized application. Like, that was important to me. And in my process of researching, I ended up finding something called BuildSpace. And so I found out about BuildSpace, and at this point, it's like late August, early September 2021. And so I'm like, okay, BuildSpace seems cool. What? I can learn this for free. What? It's project-based. Okay, let's do it. Like, I don't know, you know, really know React and that like that, but I'm gonna dive in. So I dive into the curriculum, and I'm not gonna lie with you, like, it was hard. I was like, yo, what the hell? And it was hard just because, not only just from a coding perspective, but like some of the way that they organized the content, it wouldn't tell you specifically where code would go, and they would be like, oh, we're going to leave this for you to figure out, and it was very assumptive, like you already knew a whole bunch of crap, and I'm like, yo, I don't know this. So for me, it was really hard, and what got me through it was actually the community. Like, there was a guy in there, his name is TM Oliveira, and he don't really be on Twitter or anything like that, but I will always shout him out because he helped me so much just to get through it. And like, once I got through it that first time and I see my project working, I was like, oh yeah, it's on. Like, I got this now. I'm gonna just just go far and wide with it. And I don't know, I think it was maybe Crypto Tutu who said that, to go deeper, go wide. She's right. Like, once you figure out what it is that you like in this space or in tech in general, just go deep with it, go wide with it, and really play with things, test them out, see which blockchain you gravitate towards more, see if you like gaming more in the Web3 space, or if you like DAOs more, like whatever it is, just really take the time to explore and go wide with it, because that's what I did. And once I got through that, I was going through the other projects. I just started doing every project that Build Space came out with. I would do them. And then once I completed them all, I put them on my LinkedIn. And because you earn an NFT after you finish a project. So every time I finish a project, I just put it on my LinkedIn. I haven't created a portfolio to this day. I don't even have a damn portfolio. Like, I have never created a portfolio or anything like that, but I just put it on my LinkedIn. And one day, a recruiter actually reached out to me, and she was like, would you be interested in a job as a community manager for an NFT project? And I was like, okay, like, what is this paying? Things like that. Like, that's my first question. Like, what y'all talking about? Because, see, we're not going to interview and all this stuff, and y'all ain't talking right with the money. And she said a good amount, and I was like, okay, yeah, like, let's have this meeting. And so we had the meeting, and she just was like, I cannot believe your experience. She said, just from you coming from the community side, and she's seen all the fashion shows and all that stuff that I was doing, and coming to the tech side, she was just really impressed. And they were asking me questions. Like, I thought I was going to be in a meeting with one person. I was in a meeting with 4 different people pressing me with all different questions. None of them were Black, and they were coming at me from all sort of angles. Like, they were coming at me from a marketing angle. They were coming at me from a tech angle. They were coming at me from a community angle. And I was just able to answer all that because I had been there, done that. Nothing on my resume is fake. So, I just went in there real confident. Like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And it didn't even take a day. I had that meeting, and maybe like an hour or two later, they sent the offer, and I started the job like by the end of the week. And it was a really successful NFT project, and it sold out. Every collection sold out and things like that. And kept it going. And then this was January. So just to give you guys a time frame, I started learning Web3 in particular, in my first Build Space project in particular, September of 2021. Okay? By January of 2022, I already had a job with no tech background. Okay? And so I'm here. It wasn't anything like, I didn't have like a coding test or anything crazy like that. Maybe because it was community specific, so they didn't necessarily go that deep, but they did ask me certain things that I feel like you would have to know. So yeah, okay, January, boom, got that job. In February, Build Space had a town hall meeting. It was like their first town hall. I'm not sure if they've had one since, but during that town hall, they were talking about, everything they wanted to do with the community and this and that and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, this all sounds good. And I promise you guys, I had no intentions of speaking, much like today. I had no intentions of speaking, but listening to what they were saying, I was like, I got on the mic to ask my question, and they let me actually ask because they knew I was an alumni and I did all of the projects. And I said, this all sounds good, but what are you guys doing for Build Space Women? Right? And that was not a name or anything that they had before. They hadn't even considered the women of their community. And they were all like, ooh, that's a good question, and it's only one woman that works on their team. So they automatically redirected that question to her. And they was like, oh, yeah, we feel like she can answer it, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't really have an answer, obviously, because I'm catching her off the spot. But also, you guys just deflated a question that I directly asked you to the only woman on your team. And so after that town hall, she hit me up and she said, like, literally right after, she was like, your Build Space Women idea sounds good. Would you be interested in, like, running this initiative for the community? And I was like, sure. But, like, what y'all paying? What y'all paying is always my first question. And once she told me the amount, I was like, okay, that sounds good. I can make that work. Let's do it. So now this is my second client in Web3, 3 months after I started learning Web3. And so I'm just kind of enjoying, leading their community, doing different things to onboard women in the space. And during that time period, I learned a lot, just like how no one can, like, I think Ali spoke to this earlier when she said that people parade around as if they're interested in diversity and women and all this other sort of jazz, but in reality, they don't care. And I got to see that in real time through my own personal experience versus it coming from someone else. And, you know, I felt like this also wasn't as beginner friendly as they thought. Like I said, it was very assumptive in the language, you know, like, oh, I'm going to just leave this for you to figure out, or, oh, you know, like, it was just very blanketed who they were talking to and who they weren't. And I noticed this, and I felt like this was something that I wanted to change, in particular for women. Everybody thought that I was a bro in that community, just about how if they didn't hear me speak, they thought I was a man. And I'm like, what? Why are you guys just assuming because we're in a Web3 space that we are men? Like, women just aren't interested in this. That's not the case. So, yeah, you know, I'm just doing my thing, you know, onboarding women for free, feel very passionate about it, continue to feel very passionate about it. And then come July, they pulled the funding for Build Space Women. And I said, you know what? I'm not even surprised. I wasn't upset or anything like that. It kind of was on brand. I'm going to just leave it at that. It was very on brand. And so I took the week. I found out randomly. It was no, you know, like notice or anything like that. And so I took the week to sort of think like, do I want to keep this initiative going, you know, or do I want to just let it die? And for me, I just felt so passionate about women onboarding in this space, and not just women, but Black women, because I'm a Black woman. Like, I want to see more Black women in this space. I really feel like this is our chance to make some serious money. Like, it's not a game. Like, this is our chance to literally be leaders in this space. This is our chance to provide for our families without even second guessing. We ain't even got to look at our bank account because we know it's there. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I look at it. But in order for us to do that, we also have to have the resources. And if I give up just because someone felt like, oh, women aren't enough to invest in, then I wouldn't get anywhere. So I was like, you know what? I got this. I'm going to just rebrand this community real quick, and I'm going to keep it going. And so in July to like early August, pretty much, I rebranded the community to Build Pretty, which is a play off of the parent company, Pretty Media. And yeah, within the first month, I already got my first partnership with Solana U. We're getting ready to do a cohort that is onboarding women to Solana for free. And we're actually sending one of the women in the cohort to Breakpoint, which is a conference, a Solana conference in Lisbon, Portugal. So, like, this is just literally off the strength of me making connections and really just staying motivated in this space. During this time, I guess. And not only that, I end up getting my next client after that, which was by recommendation from a woman that I met in this space. I'm working with Ludo Projects. They have an NFT or a DAO project, actually. And it's funny because I didn't know just how amazing this DAO project was until I actually got the job. And I'm working with people that's worked at Google. They've worked at Disney. Like, one of the women and I love the fact that they have multiple women on their team, but one of the women, she literally worked at PlayStation and made God of War, which is like this huge video game. I'm not going to say I know much about video games and God of War, but I looked it up and it's a big deal. So I'm just excited to be in this space. I'm excited to onboard women for free. I want to keep onboarding women for free. I want to be a resource for women, a safe space for women to come, ask questions, share their journey, put each other on, you know, just support each other. And that's why when Baddies in Tech reached out and, you know, she asked me very early on, Ali been asking me like, hey, would you know, like to do this for BitDAO? And I'm like, yeah, I'm always down, but like, what are we doing? And so now that it's coming to fruition, it just makes sense. It's aligned with both of us. I'm really happy to support it. I'm going to be looking at what the other ladies on this stage are doing, because you all sound amazing. Like I said earlier, like I really want to learn about everybody's projects and how I can get involved. And if any of you want to connect, any of you want to partner or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. I am an open book. I'm always happy to share the knowledge and things like that. So even if you want advice on just becoming a community manager or the best way or route to learning Web3 or anything like that, like please reach out to me. And so, yeah, I'm going to stop right there.
I love that. I love the emphasis on getting to the money, asking about the pay early versus later. That is a really great strategy. Never give your number first. Let them tell you what the salary pay bands or what the budget is, and then you pick your number that fits within there, or maybe push it a little bit higher. I don't know, whatever you're feeling that day and whatever makes sense. But I want to go ahead and pass the mic over to Crypto Tutu.
Yes, thank you, Valerie. Bill Privy, you said something that caught my attention, and I was like, ooh, I have to tell her this. So with what you have going on right now with Solana, what you need to do is pay attention to every minute, every second of it, document that, and put together a deck. With that deck of what you've been able to do, Build Pretty, like I could visualize it right now. Build Pretty times Solana, this is what you did, how many women attending, what they learned, how many projects came out of it. And you package that thing and take it to Polygon. You package that thing and take it to Gate. Just about every protocol that you can think of. Push that thing out there. That's how Death Folio started, and now they're known all over India. You could be that girl that they come to for anything that has to do with, women in blockchain. Because the more you do these things, it's like Pokemon. It's like you're collecting, stars and accolades. You can then now start to brand. So imagine now adding, next year now you have Solana, you have Polygon, and you go to FTX and say, hey, I've done this for this, I've done this for that. Now you need to pony up because I can do this. I mean, that money goes up with every one you do because now you have more clients and more reviews of people who've actually, supported you. Wanted to throw that out there for you. Hopefully that would be helpful. Someone also mentioned something earlier around wanting to become an HR person in the Web3 space. Let me just tell you that when I found out how much it would cost me for a recruiter to place a CTO and a CMO for me, I wanted to quit my project and become an HR person. I had to swallow my spit and say, sir, do you know what you're telling me right now? So I'll drop this alpha right here. They were asking me for $20,000 to place one human being that they probably never seen in their entire lives because it's Web3. I see y'all laughing. This is no funny matter for somebody who's a founder that has to pony up this money. So I'm sitting there swallowing my spit thinking, I got to hire 3 people at a C-suite level. So that's $60,000. And then, I didn't respond to him for 2 weeks because I'm still in shock. So he sends me a message saying, hey, I can give you a 5% discount. I'm thinking 5% discount? No, I give you a 5% discount not to send me another email. That's what's going to happen, But anyway, sorry, I had to throw some comedy in there. But no, this is real life stuff. This is what I'm going through. These are the tensions that I'm having to deal with that I think could be an opportunity for someone who is, who knows what they're doing to put together. I'll be more than happy to share how they came at me with it, the way they approached me, the documents they sent me. Because honestly, everybody's copying each other and everybody's putting all these things behind gated spaces and behind paywalls. No, it's not necessary. Everyone goes off of relationships, and the way you build relationships in Web3 is super easier than Web2. You just pretty much go into these communities, and a lot of times you see, someone who could get you to someone else who might be the leader there. You just kind of build your network that way. But anyway, just wanted to share that with both of you. I think there's one more, but if I remember, I'll jump Friday and talk about it. But yeah, thank you.
I will be hitting you up for those templates, Crypto Tutu, so thank you for that. And I love what you said and what Bill Pretty said about relationships. Literally her entire Web3 career has been built on the back of relationships that she's found in communities that she's joined and just by starting. And like Crypto22 said, it's so easy to build relationships in this space. Like, just go into any community, go into their Discord, start talking. Like, people will take notice of you, start building a project. Like, people are so open in the Web3 space because there's so little people in this space. It's so new that everyone, wants friends. Like, everyone wants to build together. And I think just the principles of like Web3 is, about decentralization, about, social good and coming together and aligning around, whatever vision or whatever you care about. And so people are a lot more open in this space. I think that's like a complaint that people have in Web2 is like, oh, like I hit up this influencer, I hit up this person, in the Web2 space and they didn't get back to me, or, it's hard to make connections, it's hard to network. And I think I found personally that it's a lot easier to network in the Web3 space. So yeah, I think that's like really the way to go for me when you're getting into Web3 is to build these relationships for sure.
Yeah, I have to agree that being able to network in Web3 has been a lot easier because in some areas everyone is at the same spot. So anyone can be the next big whatever. So everyone has this sense of like respect, willing to help and support each other, and really following the quote unquote Web3 ethos. And I say quote unquote because from my perspective, I believe the whole Web3 ethos is just how Black and brown communities have operated forever. And I feel like other people are just tapping into that. They're like, oh, we could actually support each other. Wow, this is amazing. I'm like, we've been doing that for a long time, but I'm glad y'all here and catching up and seeing how we've been moving. But we don't talk about that all the time, but we're going to talk about it today. But I think everything that we've been sharing about our journey, 1, through tech, about 2, how we've been navigating the Web3 space, has been amazing. There's one thing that I want to point out as like a theme that we've been talking about for all of us, and that's been something that's important to me, and that is getting to the money. So I know I just pinned up, like at some point throughout this conversation, a tweet from the Tech by Choice account, and it's talking about being able to talk about in more detail different ways to access funding in the Web3 space, because I don't have to explain why this is a big deal for our communities and how historically we've been blocked out of traditional funding avenues for a number of different reasons. A lot of us are able to break that barrier. We love and celebrate those people, but some of the things that we have learned for the people on this stage is that there are other opportunities for us to secure the bag for ourselves, our communities, our projects, our businesses, and we have set up a Zoom session to follow up the conversation from today. So if you go ahead and check out that tweet, you'll be taken to a Eventbrite link where you can go ahead and register for that event. We will jump into a secured Zoom and we will be able to talk through, this is how you do it. We will walk through how to set up a Gitcoin account, and we will talk about wallet safety, all of that good stuff. So that way, if you have never touched crypto a day in your life, it's cool. We got you. We're going to walk through all of this together, make sure everybody got the same resources, talk about grants that are available in Web3. We're going to share that, and we'll also share a couple of outlines about how you can start talking about your projects in ways that makes it very easy for you to apply to multiple themes and secure the bag. Like we said before, passion don't pay the bills. It's really great if you can find something that you're passionate about to make enough money to get by. But if you're just in it for the money, we're going to help you secure that bag. Okay, so I do see that we have a few people joining the stage. Welcome. Wanted to see if anyone had any... Wait, Sassy is still connecting. Let me give her a second. Oh, and I see Crypto22, you unmuted?
Yes, I wanted to jump in. I don't want to hug the stage, but I get really excited about sharing information. Bill Pretty talked about communities, and I wanted to talk about that here. And as a founder, I mean, I am more than happy to share my struggles in the process. And for me, it's been this hit or miss with even hiring developers. It took me about the entire 2 years to really get to a point now where I actually have people I can actually consider team members. I mean, I had some developers that would work with me and they would literally disappear and not come back after payday. And I think that is part of the, things that we should talk about here, that if you're going to be in this space and become a developer, you have to be someone that founders can count on, especially because we're so early in the space. Part of what could really make your journey successful is that people can count on you. And when you have a founder that is dealing with like 4, 5, 6 fires on a daily basis, not being able to trust that the developer will show up and actually do their work is one of the biggest, issues that would really, I mean, people want to make it in Web3. People like that, they're just not going to make it, because over time, when people actually go and look deeper and deeper into who you are on LinkedIn, who you're connected to, I mean, I actually started asking people to work with, like, hey, how was this person's work ethic? Because I got tired of people promising and never delivering. But I would say that for me, as of today, the shift has come at this point in time where people are no longer interested in the big marketing push and, people selling. I mean, people are, especially in the NFT space, marketers take up to 30% of the mint fees just to market the product. So with that, you get a lot of hype, and that's why you see a lot of projects where it looks like they're going to, become the next Bored Ape Yacht Club, but 2 weeks later, it just completely dies. And it's because the marketers come in, they take their money after, a fully sold out mint, and then they just pretty much like leave the community with all the 20 community members that they brought. And now it's moving towards more of community development, community building. And anyone who has that skill that Bill Pretty just talked about will make probably, close to what a developer could make in blockchain in the next year or so. And it's because it is gold. It is a golden skill to have, to be able to actually know how to build a community, know how to actually say that, hey, I've been able to organically build a community from, a community of 100 people to a community of 1,000 people in 2 months, and we have, a 10% turnover rate. That for me is huge. Anyone who has that level of skill, definitely DM me. I am looking to hire, right? But a lot of times, people, don't talk about it because it makes their project look like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, or the project might not be as solid as it is. But I'm open to talk about it because, I do have funding from a reputable firm, and I am completely grateful for it. So I'm able to actually, sustain the project. But if the people that are applying for the roles are not solid, then you're as good as the people you have. So just want to put it out there that, that is a skill that if you have that, forget my project. You will make it. Like WAGME would be like your anthem for a very long time. If you could put together a team or yourself that could deliver such level. Also being able to have relationships with DAOs. I'm looking for relationships with DAOs at this point because I've built the product. People love it, but if I don't have a community that actually will hold it and actually work with me, then it's not really worth much. So when you think about founders and new projects coming on the scene, even the ones that are currently existed, and you look at the communities, you could literally go into a community and say, hey, I have this skill set, I can help you grow your community, or, give you, access to another community that can help your community grow. They will listen. Forget the tech. The biggest push right now is around knowing how to build communities and how to sustain communities. So anyone with that skill set, definitely let me know. I'm about to have a side hustle to even have a side company to push community development at this rate because the money is definitely going to be there. So sorry, just wanted to drop that.
Yeah. No, I love this. And it's so funny, like as you're speaking, one person popped in my head that would be perfect to connect you with. And then they popped up, and it's Steph. I definitely want you two to connect. I think that would be a great relationship there, around community building and things like that. There was another point I was going to make. Oh, DAOs. I have someone to connect you with. Her name is Feems. She's amazing. She has helped me navigate the DAO and business side of Web3, which is very hard because you don't hear people talking about that on Twitter Spaces. So I think those two connections will be very helpful. I do see that we have Sassy's hand up. Sassy, what's going on? It's been a long time since I've seen you. How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so glad you're having this space and to be here today. And, I kind of cut line because I know Alicia came in here first. I was just going to say, speaking to what Crypto Tutu was talking about for community management, like I was just wondering if anyone did have any resources for how to train community managers, because like I'm getting ready to have like some interviews with people to help me manage my Discord and everything like that. And like just a little bit about me. I'm a musician, but I got into Web3 last year, literally a year ago. Started working at a crappy nonprofit, and then I quit that job and I started working at the first on-chain music creation platform. And so I worked there as head of artist and community partnerships, and I made up the position and I told them to hire me. And I worked there part-time, and I work part-time at Microsoft doing contract work as a music director right now. And so tech has been really nice to me in the past year, and Web3 has been freaking awesome to me. But all that to say is that, I have like a Discord, and I'm just trying to continue building with my musicianship and my artistry and my Discord. And that was like kind of a question I had to the people on stage, if there were any resources on how to train a community manager, because I do want to be able to bring in women of color, queer people, Black people onto my team that might not be as well versed in it, but are very charismatic, very driven, and I want to be able to have them like be educated to take the next steps to like work with me, so that they can have those skills like as a part of a training, just like any other company would, even with my small business lifestyle.
So I was actually gonna say, Third Academy has like a Web3 marketing course. And then also Consensus Academy also has a Web3 marketing course. So those could be two resources for people who maybe have a marketing background or community management background and want to learn how to apply those skills in the Web3 space. I think it's like cohort based, so I'm not sure if it's running right now, but definitely check out both of their websites to see if, whenever the next cohort starts.
Yeah, Third Academy, I think theirs just ended a couple weeks ago, their last cohort. They are really good. I know that they're building a developer cohort. They're also building some other cohort. They partnered with Tech by Choice and gave us a few like free scholarships for people to join. There was also a community, I don't know if it was Kernel or not, but they partnered with Web3 Baddies back in like October of last year. And a lot of people learned how to become community managers through that platform. And they went from going through that platform to working at places like Wonder XYZ and things like that. So I think, Sassy, let me find the name of the program and I will send it to you.
Okay, thank you so much, and I appreciate you so much, especially having met you early on in my Web3 journey. So it's so great to see you hosting and leading like this.
Thank you. I've come a long way. As we are all, as the great Will Smith once said, a work in progress. I am also getting tired, so my jokes are going to progressively get worse like that. So if you don't laugh, I'm going to get sad. I know I'm corny. That's the whole thing, right? Steph, I want to get to you, but I believe Ashlyn joined the stage, and I wanted to make sure I pass the mic over there to make sure that we are hearing that voice and making sure that they can jump into the conversation.
Hi, thank you so much. This has been a great space to sit in. So my name is Alicia Overton, and I am not in tech. However, I am a founder that is creating a business that requires tech. I have a two-part tech project that is going to I'm trying to change a view of something that's very simple, which is centralizing notes, meeting notes, and brainstorm notes in one application that I'm trying to build. And I'm curious to know in the space of such fantastic tech people, if there are people that are open to equity as a form of payment to work on a project or to work with a founder. I have been wanting to ask this question for quite some time, but I keep missing baddies in tech and missing your spaces. So this was I saw it, I was like, yes, I can ask the question. Finally, I can ask the question. I am building something that I just talked to an investor of a very large firm, and she said to me, she's the founder of the firm, and she said to me, yeah, you sound like you can spend money, but what I'm going to be looking for is if you have a tech team in place and if you can attract really dope talent, is basically what she said to me. And I'm like, well, I can absolutely do that. But the question is, does anyone in tech like working with founders that are bootstrapping, that are willing to give up equity to pay you? So that is my question. Thank you so much for letting me hang out with you guys. I'd love to see women win. It's just a great thing. It's a great thing. I love you guys. You clearly are driven, and I love to see that. So that's it.
So I'm going to go ahead and answer your question, because I know we did focus on getting to the money, and equity is one way to get to the money. Some of us thankfully have the privilege to be able to put in that sweat equity up front. My suggestion is to try to frame it so that even if the person is really interested, very passionate about what you're building and being able to support you, you might get someone who fits your requirements, but they may still need that financial buffer for whatever reason. But they're going to be the ones who pushes your product forward. Try to offer them something that's part-time. Maybe they don't have to go full-time initially until you can get that funding. And I'm not sure, did you say you were going to the VC round when you were talking about funding?
My goal is, the first thing that I'm doing is I'm launching so just to give you a background, I am launching a monthly planner, and what I'm going to end up doing is creating a digital version of it in a freestanding app. But there is a second piece of technology that's going to be that I'm reaching out for, that will connect the paper planner to the digital planner. And so my goal is, I'm not asking anybody for money. My goal is that I'm hopeful that my physical planner will pay for everything else that I'm doing. That's my goal. But if I need to go which I'm preparing for fundraising. And what I'm doing now is my due diligence of finding out exactly what investors will look for in my startup. And that was one that I didn't stop to think about. I can always hire a dev shop to create something, but as I think about it, the dev shop will create my application, or they'll create my SDK for the other piece of technology that I'm working on. But who's going to maintain it? Who's going to upgrade it? Who's going to take it, the initial build out, and then make it better? And I think that is the thing that when that investor said it to me, I was like, Alicia, that makes absolute sense. It's nice to get somebody to build it initially, but who's going to take it to the next level? Because I have ideas further down the road. So when I asked the investor, they said to me, well, if you're bootstrapping, that might be a form of payment that could work. And of course, you'd have to work out the details of what that looks like. But I was just curious. That's why I was so happy to see the room, because, my thing is that I'm with you. Like, we all need to make money in some way, shape, or form. So a steady paycheck is a paycheck you take. So with that said, is that an option for some? And I would love to connect with anyone that is an option, is ultimately what I'm thinking.
Yes, it's definitely an option. There are people out there who would be willing to do it. It's just more so finding the community that can, finding a community where you can find that person within that group. I think that'll be the biggest thing. Yes, I think you're in the right space though, as far as like finding that community. I don't know if anyone else. Oh, I see Bill Pretty and multiple people came off mic. Just go.
Forgive.
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, potentially like Gitcoin could be like just grant funding in general, but I think this is also a good place to like plug Gitcoin and think about like how you can get like equity free funding. And so yeah, like if you can find a way to make whatever you're building a public good, like I'm doing this, to help XYZ community, or XYZ like group of people, you could potentially get funding from Gitcoin by raising from your community. Yeah, and I just think in general, like grant funding is a way to go. Like I think bootstrapping is like a noble endeavor, but I think sometimes like we as Black founders like slow down our progress because we want to own all of it. We want to do it by ourselves, and I don't think there's anything wrong with getting help where you can. So I would definitely like look at grants. There's like a ton of grants for like physical products, etc. And then I think again, like if you can connect it to some sort of like public good, then you could potentially go for like Web3 grants. Also, in terms of like attracting talent, I think that your best bet is going to be, like Valerie said, like finding a community of people, because people are probably going to want to be paid somehow, and it's probably going to be people who already have like a tech job and have a steady income and are more so passionate about what you're building, and want to see it come to life. And so you're probably going to want to try to find that sort of like group of people, like entrepreneurial type like developers, and also like you can look offshore. There's like a ton of developers in like Nigeria, in Ghana, and I say this because I've done work in like the Ghanaian tech ecosystem, startup ecosystem, and not to say like don't pay them, because I think you still should, but I think that there's a possibility there to like pay them with equity, and then also pay them like a salary that you can afford based on what you guys are, like the income that you guys are creating, that's still fair for them. So yeah, I think that's another option as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because you're right. There is nobility in bootstrapping, but I am very realistic in knowing that there will be a point where, yeah, it's going to require more than just that. So I'm completely open to any way of fundraising. So it doesn't have to be VC, quite honestly. And I also recognize I don't want to ever take advantage of someone's. Listen, any person that decides that they want to work with me, I am always grateful and thankful. And so I would never want to take advantage of a person in the sense of, not paying them money, because, we all have to live in some way, shape, or form. So I appreciate that. I will continue to do my research. Thankfully, I have some time for the technology that I'm building, but I just always wanted to ask the question just to see if that is something that's an option. So I will look for those communities. I appreciate your advice. Thank you so much.
So if I can jump in here, Alicia, another part of Gitcoin that I don't know if I will talk about is you can actually sponsor a project. So what I was building, and I did bootstrap for 2 years, and after I think I almost drained the entire family savings, I had to give myself some sense there, and started looking into grants, which I got some as well. But what you can do is if you have some funding, you can break down your project into pieces, and it sounds like you're still in the discovery phase, which means like all you really need is an MVP. You need to prove that this thing could work. So if you break it down to pieces where you can actually start to get developers that might have, maybe intermediate experience or just, I guess, a starter experience to start to actually work on your project, you get a bunch of people that will actually try to apply for that role. You just have to be signed up for GitHub. So if you do that, it could be a great way to start. That's how I actually started finding developers as well. So once they've worked with you before, you can then now take that and actually put it into a hackathon and then try to build, more and more people around it. And before you know it, you might actually get a group of people that'll be more than happy to actually take the equity because they know where you're going. I have so many founder friends that found their co-founders from hackathons. And it's because they share that, type of project with them in a hackathon. And once people know what you're building and they've already worked on it already, they'll be probably more keen to take equity because they know where the project is going and you're carrying them along as well. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think Bill Pretty wanted to speak, and then Steph.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that from a developer's perspective, when you approach them, because I do think that there are developers that are willing to do this, but it's going to always, with anything else, it's going to be about how you present it. So when you do approach them, I think it's important to also not place all of the work on a single developer. I had a female founder. She reached out. She had a project in mind. It was an NFT project, and it sounds like a really cool idea. And the pay, what she was offering was $80 an hour plus equity. I can't remember the equity percentage, but it was a good percentage, and an amount that she was willing to pay like upfront for me to even get started on the project. And it sounded, I was like, okay, I can do this, whatever. But then she got into, like, once I read the contract, it said that I wouldn't actually be paid until the NFT project went live. So I think first of all, it's important to explain how you do plan to pay people if you aren't paying them upfront and you're offering equity, but also do not present the project in a way where they have to do everything. Because for this project, she wanted me to do the front end, the back end. She added in some Discord stuff. I mean, like, she went shopping, talking about $80 an hour. And I was like, girl, and you can't, like, what? She was like, I can only pay this amount of money up front, and then you won't be paid until the project actually goes live. And that's a problem for me, because what if the project never goes live? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that amount of trust in you to believe that. Like, I don't know you. And as much as I wanted to work on your project, being that you were a female founder, I had to tell her no. And part of the reason was because she placed so much work on me as a single developer. Whereas if she would have had the work spread out a little bit more, like across, a small team, and she's like, I can only offer this up front, but, I will be paying this, on the back end and equity, etc., I may have been a bit more willing and open to actually do the project. So I just wanted to share that from a personal experience.
Yeah, no, I am a former executive assistant, and I understand what it is to be parceled out like you are a piece of cattle, and you're just supposed to just do whatever someone says. I completely get that, and it's annoying, and people attempt to take advantage of you, even whether they do it consciously or subconsciously, if they just know that you're capable of doing it, the next thing you know is what started out very simple turns into something more complicated. So I completely get that. I think for my project, what I'd be looking for, I'm the person that I will do it myself for as long as I can do it for myself. And then where I know that it's not my lane, that's when I'm going to ask for help. So thus far, it's been working for me. It's been working for me, but I know that this technical piece, I know that it won't be that way. But I absolutely agree with you. I will make sure that when I make that offer, it will make sense for everybody.
I love.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ellie.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, does Steph want to speak?
Oh, girl. I was going to say something about something that somebody else said. That's actually why I raised my hand, and then I forgot. But now I'm like, look, okay, I'm so tired of all of this. I am making my agency because this is insanity to me when I hear about these things from the because I spend all the time in development now, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so they just want to make up projects to do just for fun, right? Like, and then I come out. And it's like, well, look, we can't find a developer to do the thing. And I'm like, they be thinking of stuff to do. Like, what is going on here? So, yeah. But yeah, shout out to y'all. This is so fun. I'm just thinking, but I was going to say something about what they said. It wasn't to say that. But, yeah, it's like, because one time is a coincidence, two times is, I don't know. It's systemic at this point. Right, like I'm calling it a whole chasm that's operating out here in this Web3 space because what? This is crazy. Okay, all right, I'm done.
I actually love that you said that people are making up projects because we have an entire community of baddies that are like maybe they've learned JavaScript, they've learned React or whatever, and they're looking for like use cases to gain hands-on experience, and they can't find it. It's like, where do you get this like experience in between, learning a skill? And I think that's like also a gap that Valerie's trying to fill with Tech by Choice, right? It's like you have this, you go to boot camp, you learn your skills, and then like you still have like this gap of like I need hands-on experience, I need a portfolio, I need to work on real-world projects. And real business use cases so that I can gain the experience to, maybe go full-time or freelance or whatever the case may be. And it's like there's a lack of projects, but there's actually really founders out there that need developers. And so I think there's like definitely a use case of like connecting those two groups of people. And it's one thing that we want to do with Values in Tech DAO too is like an open source like job board where founders can come and say, hey, like I have this project and I'm going to pay in equity and like find people who are looking for projects to work on, versus some like spaces where you have to pay hundreds of dollars to post a job and all of that. So I just think that there's definitely like a gap there where we need to find people who need experienced projects and then people who need developers to find that as well. So I love that.
That's why I'm calling it a chasm, girl. It's a chasm. It's not even a gap at this point.
No, I think what we're talking about is so like on point to like a shift that I wanted to make for the conversation about funding and grants. But before we get into that, I actually want to. I think it is a chasm, like you're saying, Steph, because like you're saying, the Tech by Choice community is building a paid open source project. And this is something that we've been talking about and trying to get up and running and get the details done for like 2 years now. But the thing is, we actually wanted to help founders in our community launch the technical sides of their businesses who can only offer equity. And we know that members in our community sometimes really want to work on those projects, but they're not in a position to only take equity. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for them to only be part-time for those projects and things like that. And so people are losing out on these large returns and all of these different things that they could possibly have, continuing that generational gap divide that we see in our communities. So what we're doing in fundraising through Gitcoin is for our open source initiative to turn into a space that we can, one, support founders in our community who are looking to build out technology to help them grow and scale their business. And they would offer up some equity, but we would be the cushion and support system behind the community, so people don't have to make that choice of, can I afford to work for free? Do I really believe in this project and can take the risk of being able to work on this for I don't know how many months to possibly see if equity will kick in, if money can kick in. So through this paid open source project, not only can we help our community by getting those hands-on skills to be able to show hiring managers that they can get these big tech checks, but we're now being able to fully support our whole entire ecosystem by allowing our members to cash in on the equity, as well as being able to get paid through our program. So we alleviate the frustrations of a new founder who's just trying to show that their idea is the next thing that could go to market and make a lot of money. And I love how this is all coming together. I don't think we even shared this outside of our Slack. Like, this has been a discussion that's been going back and forth for, like I said, 2 years. And through Gitcoin, it's the first time that we feel like we're able to get into a space where we can properly fund this, so we can build the support system out for our founders, for our members, for our mentors in a way that makes sense. So I wanted to kind of like shift the gear of the conversation to talk about Web3 funding, and in particular around Gitcoin, because I know that this has been a hot topic in the Web3 streets, but I feel like a lot of Web2 people have been left out of this conversation just because that's not their network. So I actually wanted to start off just seeing, well, actually, why am I making this assumption? Can I see by a show of hearts? My dog's excited. She just found her toy. I got her a really cute Halloween toy. Didn't check how loud it was before I bought it and took it home. Biggest regret of my life. But you know what? Whatever. We'll make it through. I would love to see by a show of hearts in the audience how many people have heard of Gitcoin before today. And it's going to be that awkward lag, so I'm going to continue to add on to the awkwardness by continuing to speak until I see some hearts. Okay, so I do... Huh?
Sorry to interrupt you. Before we do that, can we just... I think there's a lot of people here that are not founders, but are want to be builders in the Web3 space and want to learn skills. So can we just quickly go through everyone on stage who has resources, and just name the resources that we use to learn Web3 skills, so people can just go after this and look things up and start diving in. Can we just do that real quick and then talk about Gitcoin for people who do have projects and need funding?
Yes, that's perfect, and it gives me enough time to get my dog out of the room with me. So let's do it. If you could leave the conversation for a second. My dog also does not listen nor respect me, so it's going to take a moment.
Okay, great. So I'll go first. I think Kai said that she had used this one, but Learn Web3 DAO is really, really great if you want to learn blockchain development and just, are going from 0 to 100. Unlike Build Space that Bill Pretty was talking about, they make it very, very easy. They have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and you just learn and the entire Web3 curriculum from there. So I will let Auntie Kai talk more about that since she has actually used it. But that's a good one for blockchain developers. Third Academy, like I said, again, they have a range of courses. They just finished their marketing in Web3 course. So again, you don't have to be a blockchain developer. You don't have to be a developer in the Web3 space, just like you don't have to be a developer in the Web2 space. You can do whatever the hell you want. So Third Academy is good for that. Consensus Academy as well. They have blockchain development, they have marketing and Web3, and they also have DevRel. So that's a good one too. I think that they haven't updated their courses in a minute, but I do know that Meta Gamma Delta, which is another DAO in the space, has scholarships to their program, and so we shared that within Baddies in Tech Discord group. I think it's probably full now, but whenever that comes back around, I'd be sure to share it with y'all. For people in college still, Block Theme is a great one. Really, really good to learn skills and get experience to be placed in Web3 jobs after college. And then another blockchain development one, it's an 8-week self-paced but also cohorted kind of program, is called Growic. And that's GROWIC, and that's also for blockchain development. That's all I got. I yield my mic. Anyone else can please share?
Yeah, I can just go off what you said about Learn Web3 DAO. That's actually one that I learned smart contract development from as well. I do love how theirs has a freshman track all the way up to senior. You also get free NFTs as you complete the course as well. One of the newest additions they have now is once you're complete with the entire course from freshman to senior, you're able to create a portfolio of all the work that you have completed during the course and also get hired for job placement. So it's in beta right now, but you're able to actually make a profile on there, list everything that you've done. You're able to also connect your GitHub account on there, so that's really good. Another one that I do love that has a similar track is Web3 University. That one's great. It also talks about auditing smart contracts through Alchemy, which is also another job too that we can discuss later. If you're not necessarily wanting to build contracts, they also have positions where you can audit them for security, run them through testnet, basically what you use for software development, which is good. So those are my two. I went through both of those courses, Web3 University and Learn Web3 DAO, and they were amazing for me as well.
I'm a Web3 cybersecurity specialist, period.
Okay, something like that, you know what I'm saying? No, but contract auditing is actually really fun. As much as it sounds crazy, it's definitely something to consider for sure.
I love that. I didn't even know about that, so that's amazing. Go ahead, Seth.
What's it called? I'm trying to type it in. I typed in WE3 girl. What's it called? Y'all need to make threads. This is ridiculous. I'm making a thread.
Yes.
If somebody would do a thread, or I can type or something, whichever.
No, we all making threads.
No. Wait. Let's put all the information in one space. If people can go ahead and tap the chat so that they can add to the thread for the space. So that way, after the space is over, even if you're listening to it, you can go back and check the link so we all have that there. And then please go ahead and make your other thread outside of this. Again, I'm not blocking nobody's blessing, nobody's bag. I'm just trying to make it easy for us in this room to re-access this later. Make your threads, get those followers, get those likes, get those retweets.
Okay, so my threads don't get no followers, no likes, no retweets. I was just trying to share something with the people, and I already made a graphic for it in Canva. So that's it. But on that note, some of these things. So I'll say now I thought back in my day but crazy. So Casey had made Learn Web3 DAO back when I started. So I'm shoot, I ain't know. But it is something that I do want to try. I will say that Patrick C. Alpha, he's a good person to follow. He has his 32-hour course. And I know it sounds like, oh my God, so crazy. But he will give you a like though, at least that. He won't follow me, but it's okay. We're still alright. So go ahead to Patrick's. Another thing is also, I'll say my general advice second. So then, the Women Build Web3, I really like their course. Now, there's a few things that I'm okay,
I think you should break it down. Maybe this is not beginner friendly, but the beginner said, forget that, and they passed me. So they're having fun. So the women build Web3, and I will add that to the thread thing. And to the thread, I'm going to make with no likes and retweets. No bags. Shout out to me for that. The other thing is, I also talked about how to make AI generated, art in the back here. So it's all right. The other part is to build in community, right? So I know they talk about build in public, right? That's a hashtag. But building in community is really important. So, there's a plug for, Betty to say, a plug for, because Women Build Web3 was actually, as they talked about these other things, so they're in Gitcoin. This is not a plug like that, or no competition, it's not that thing. But they actually came out of the developer DAO, Web3Con, and so they connected during the hackathon. That's what they ended up building, and now they're in the Gitcoin grant phase with everybody else. So that's a cool thing. I know people say all kinds of things about developer now when they get into it. And as the community person, I'm like, oh my God, like I tried, but there's thousands and thousands of people in there, y'all. So there is a way to navigate it though, and also the connections from just being connected, like is really important. So I mean, like where you can't find people and you can't, like I don't know who such and such and such. That's why I call it a chasm, right? Because whatever it is that you want to build, you can also come in, say you want to build it, and get some money from the treasury, and then just go. Like they don't operate like that at the company, right? At the company, you just have your ideas, and then you have to leave to go build them, right? And if it don't work out, then I don't know if they rehire you. Like I'm not sure about that process. I don't know about none of that. But I will say that one of the things that is cool is that not just you have a group of people, and then you also get to, if you can't convince of the thousands of people in there to build with you, then maybe pivot, right? So it's a really cool thing, and you go through that process, and but more importantly, whatever the DAO is, whatever the group is, whatever the space is. There's also, some communities that don't exist and don't, what's understood don't have to be said, right? So, whatever it is, just building community. So, that's it.
That was perfect. Steph is hilarious. She is hilarious. But I just wanted to piggyback off of what she said about Patrick Collins. Like, he has been, if you will, a leader in the space for a while now. And he recently dropped that 32 or 30 hour course that I'm actually going to go through it in October. So I'll be able to better provide insight as to what I think about it once I actually go through it. But it's very, very thorough. It's on video. If you're a person that's like, oh, I can't read all this, like it's on video. And I think also don't be intimidated by the 30-hour number, because that's something, sometimes I see them numbers and I'll be like, woo, child, listen, who got 30 hours for this? But what you can do is just a little bit a day goes a long way. So even if it's just an hour a day that you take coding to get through like a project or a tutorial or whatever it is, like take that hour, it builds up. Your little bitty, it's like little stepping stones. It builds up, and before you know it, you'll be done with the project. So I just wanted to double down on Patrick Collins. I also wanted to suggest Nader Dabbitt. He's also
I forgot him, girl. That's so crazy. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's also a leader in the space. I mean, he has helped even like build space. He helps women build Web3. Like he is, I don't know, Lens Protocol has like leaned on him. Like so many different companies as well as people like lean on him. So definitely check out his YouTube. His courses aren't anywhere near as long as 30 hours. They're more like project based. So it'll be like, full stack development on Web3 with Ethereum or something like that, and then you'll go through like building a dApp on Ethereum. So if you're more so like you want to try that before you dive into a 30-hour course, that's also an option. I also wanted to drop, I think Learn Web3 DAO is great, which both Kai and Steph have already mentioned. There's another platform called Pointer, and they're great as well. I remember the first time I did it, I was like, oh, why did you put all of this content on one long page? It can kind of be a little bit overwhelming seeing all that text in one page. But I think the curriculum is great. They also offer you, the fun thing about them is they'll offer you an NFT, right? But if you complete, like if you be one of the first, 1,000 people to complete a project, they'll actually give you crypto. So it'll be like you'll get some Sol or some Matic or, some Ethereum or whatever for going through the course and being like one of the first, hypothetically speaking, 1,000 people to complete it. So I would definitely suggest looking into Pointer. And if you aren't a developer, but you're like, I know we spoke to a lot about founders and things like that. If you're like, I want to build a project, but I can't afford a developer, I don't know the first thing about a smart contract, and it all sounds very overwhelming to you, I would suggest looking into Third Web. Third Web has a lot of tools that make developing on the blockchain so easy. You guys, when I ran through it the first time, I couldn't believe how much work Third Web took out of building NFT projects and things like that. Like my mind was literally blown. It is a Gary Vee backed company as well as a whole bunch of other people that have invested into Third Web. So I highly recommend checking them out. And yeah, I that's it. I just wanted to thank everybody, for tuning in, listening to my story. If you gave me a follow today, thank you as well. I'm going to try to follow everybody back and answer everybody's tweets. I had a great time talking to you all. I do have to jump. Thank you, Baddies and Tech Alley, for forcing me to talk on the stage today. I really appreciate it. I got to meet a lot of people. Steph has cracked me up literally the whole time, so I'm just incredibly grateful. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Monday.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. You should be friends, girl. You know what? I forgot to mention Alchemy, which is so wild. Yeah, because they actually have the Road to Web3, and they got the NFTs too. Albert, he always would be out there. I think he's on vacation right now, so he's slower. But still, you can just add all the, this is another thing, right? Like building in public, add all the Dev Rally girls, right? Add all of them, right? Like that's their job, and let them know, right? Like, make it make sense, But let them know that, like, oh, okay, I appreciate. Cause I think the other guy, his name is Vito. So between Albert and Vito, Albert definitely responds more because now that crypto rapper thing. Look, just kind of like keep scrolling, y'all. Keep scrolling. It's okay. He's all right. Yeah. So I just because I know that that's the thing. I'm like, okay, so when I get to be a crypto rapper, right? But it's all right. So, but it's a cool thing. Plus, they have a hackathon guide as well, and you get $100 if you just do the thing. So there you go. Like for those who say I don't believe in crypto, right? You believe in Cash Money Records. There you go. So $100 if you can complete that. And they're also trying to get more eyes on it. I actually wasn't gonna put that in my thread, so let me go find it and then I'll put it beneath here. Okay, that's it. But that's the thing. Like that's why developer does, because they just all up in there.
Yeah, can we please talk about hackathons? Like, I love a hackathon, and I think like not enough people are taking advantage of the fact that it's really free money. Like, if you want to build something, you're gonna build it anyway. Build it in a hackathon so you can win the hundreds of thousands of dollars of prizes that they be giving out for free. Like,
That's definitely, I love hackathons.
I love a hackathon. We actually have like 2 coming up that we're like partner communities in with Baddies and Tech. So if anyone's listening to this and is interested in like gaining hands-on experience, building like on like real business use cases and like getting a portfolio project and like making money and building community all in one. Definitely stay tuned. We're going to be announcing those coming up. But yeah, I just want to encourage more Black women to do hackathons. Like, do a fucking hackathon, bro. Like,
yeah, Chainlinks is coming up too.
I was gonna say that when Chainlinks is coming up, and Avalanche just had theirs, I believe 2 months ago, and theirs was a $500,000 prize. So, like I said, free money once again.
Okay, yo, what's going on here? Like, where's the when are we gonna have the plug, right? Like, because we can't join Betty's and Tech. I get it. But we need like hackathon plug, right?
Wait, no.
Something like that.
If you can't join Baddies and Techs, TBC is always open. Like,
wait, why can't you join Baddies and Tech?
I don't know.
You said it was closed, girl. You're the one who said it, right?
When
did you say that?
Wait, when did you say that?
You can join Baddies and Tech. We're optimizing our Discord now, so we can like just post the link. But if you want to like, you could just like join the waitlist. Just go to baddiesandtech.com/DAO, and you can be on the waitlist. I will send you information as soon as it's open. But yeah, you can definitely join Baddies and Tech. Just join our waitlist. We'll be sending information out.
Okay, that's what she said. See, I didn't make that up. She said you can join eventually, right? The hackathon is coming up though, right? And here's the other thing, right? Once again, building in community, right? Build with your community, right? So get some people and like, okay, me, you, like, you know, like P. Pablo, right? So everybody get together and then, you know, and say, we're going to do the hackathon, and this is what we're going to do, right? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to split the money, too.
Let's split the money, right?
Oh, see, the splits are in, I thought you ordered the contract. The splits are in the contract, right? Yeah.
I'm dead.
Oh, my God.
There's also another resource, just for like, I know, like Web3 is confusing, and the terms like alpha and let's fucking go and WAGMI, like they're confusing. So especially if you've never just been in this space. So there's this resource called Vitamin 3, and it's just really like a directory on like all Web3 terms. So it's a good place to start. And I'm going to post it right now in the thread and then pin it to this space. But just a good place to start if you're just like confused in general, because I think that was me, and that's how I kind of started getting into Web3 too, like down the rabbit hole, was just learning the terms, because then you can start understanding things once you're joining the communities and people are talking about WAGMI or not gonna make it or whatever the fuck else they be saying.
Yeah, we're not gonna make it. It's crazy.
Yeah, you do have to understand in context, but you don't have to respond. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know how, like, people say they gotta say stuff? No, like, if you don't understand, you don't have to say nothing. Like, you could just be like, so yeah, what's up? Like, you don't have to say that.
Yeah. No, Steph. Okay, take a step back because I just got my dog settled and whatnot. I did see your threads about the AI work. I don't know if I retweeted it, but I bookmarked that. So
But you ain't like it or retweeted.
I booked. That means more, because that means I'm gonna actually go back to it. I actually go back to my bookmarks because I'm just like,
I have
oh.
a whole notion on that actually, and I was like, dang, like this is you talking about going down a rabbit hole. Like, here I am. I'm like, look, okay, stay tuned for my NFT AI generated art collection. Like, because at this point, I didn't save the doggone images, right? Like, oh my God, off of the doggone tweet. Listening to the strangers on the internet, girl. Oh my God. Because they were talking about they couldn't do it. I said, okay, well, let me just go see right quick, right? Because I was going to make a GAN at 3 in the morning. I wasn't getting it. And so I was like, all right, nah, I'm not going to do that. And then I looked, and I said, look what you can do with you know, like 8 hours of the day, like, let alone 24, right? So that's it, like, that's it in less than 8 hours. But my notion is completely full. So let me know if you want it, girl. Like, Because I know what the people do is they sell it as a course. You know, they be like,
wait, you don't want to make this into an ebook and then make people sign up for coaching classes in order to get access to the ebook and then just send them a link to a PDF that don't work? You don't want this funnel?
It's just a notion. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, because a notion is a website, right? Like, who needs WordPress? Like, who needs WordPress when you have Notion? Like, that makes no sense. I even have titles and my headers are right. And I said, oh my God, I didn't make a to-do list. Like, and I didn't check off all of the things on there. Unbelievable. Who does that? Like,
no, you. And that's why you're here, and we love you, and we love listening to you, and we laughing with you because you're you. And also, I do the same thing. So if it ain't good for you, then I don't know what that means about me, and I refuse to say that there's something wrong with me at this moment. But I do want to take a moment and say that I love all the resources that we've been able to share in this space, and I think building for hackathons are really great, especially the hackathons that pay you in money and not just resources, because there are those hackathons that try to be cheap, and I don't know why, but the ones that everyone has listed have been super solid. I do know that we have Full Snack Developer who just joined. I just realized that's not your name. I'm so sorry.
That's totally fine. Hey, everybody. Actually, a lot of people do call me the Snack. You can call me Snack. You can call me Danny.
Get out. Go get in your house.
I'll just introduce myself. I'm joining Madly. I had a little family thing that I had to take care of. I'm with my favorite tiny humans. My niece is here running around doing something. But hey, lovely people. What do I do?
hey, Jenna girl.
So currently, I actually just recently made my transition into working in the Web3 space for like my 9 to 5. I've been like a crypto enthusiast for maybe like 2 years now, and I just saw a lot of cool people building a lot of cool things in this space. So I got a really unique opportunity to work at a super cool company called Endowment. Endowment is a Web3 company that leverages the blockchain for crypto philanthropy. So you can donate your crypto or you can donate your crypto assets to nonprofits all across the world. Also, if you have a nonprofit and you would like to launch your nonprofit on the blockchain, please let me know. It's like super easy to do, and I'd be happy to walk you through that. It's cool for a lot of obvious reasons. Of course, like with the blockchain, you get additional insight that you wouldn't get donating to traditional nonprofits, since anybody can check the Etherscan and see where their money's going. We're actually moving to like a DAO and like governance-based structure where you'll be able to vote on where we allocate money in community pools, which is going to be super interesting and really fun. And I think we're the first person kind of in this space of crypto philanthropy doing things the way that we're doing things. So I'm our TPM. I manage a lot of our stuff that happens on the engineering side. I love Notions. I walked in and heard y'all talking about that. I use Notion every single day. So kind of just managing like our infra, our GitHub pipeline, all of our Notion documentation, and just like giving our engineers everything that they need to ship super cool products. And yeah, so I've been there since June, having a great time. And I also work at a really cool tech conference. I work for Render Atlanta, which is, we are officially the largest Black-owned tech conference on the East Coast. If you have any questions about Render, please feel free to reach out to me as well. But the conference is happening this year in May. Y'all should pull up. Last year, we did have a lot of really cool sponsors from the crypto space as well. Polygon, Rainbow Wallet, Coinbase was there, and a couple of other really interesting players in the space. So I feel like I've been talking for like 57 minutes. But yeah, that's me. Hey, friends.
No, I love that you here. You talked about a lot of things that I'm interested in, because TBC, we're a nonprofit, but we want to be on chain, and I've actually been building my own tools to make this happen. And if you telling me somebody else can maintain, manage, deploy, and handle all of this, I'm about to DM you now so I don't forget, because we're ready to go. We're just
I can literally type in your name in our system and push like 3 buttons and have you deploy it on the blockchain in like 5 minutes.
Okay, look, you don't have to explain nothing else. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm here.
Make it sound like tough. Like, I got you, I'm the plug.
People. So Yeah, we make it super easy to do that, and it's really cool because people can like donate to you in like USDC, and we can like transfer that like into crypto. They can donate to you in cash, so it's not just that people can donate to you in crypto, but it enables people to donate to you in crypto. But however you want to take your donations or do things, like there's a lot of different avenues that we can do that.
Wait, hold up. Did you say you accept crypto in cash?
We accept crypto and cash, so people
type in tech by choice and push the button because I'm tired. I've been working on something for 2 years and you've been here. Type in the name, press the button. We're good to go. I don't even need to
press the motherfucking button. Valerie, you have to click on people's profiles. Like I knew that because I clicked on profile.
Fun fact. I don't read nobody's bio because
yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. That's how I found out.
No, because people be saying that they the CEO and CFO and CTO of all types of things. And one time I fell for it and I started talking to somebody that couldn't tell me how to tie their own shoe. And it was, I can't even go into explain how shook I was during that meeting and following meetings after that because they also didn't leave me alone for a while. So I just go off of vibes. If you sound like you can carry a tune, follow along.
You're going to have to see her at the conference, so that's kind of strange for her to be capping to the front and the back.
No, you would think that. That would be factual, but that is not how this world works. That logic, the math don't be mathing online and in person, and people are okay with that. I'm just like, wow, that's wild. Yeah, but no, I appreciate this. I'm definitely going to hit you up in all honesty because we ready to go on chain. We've been ready for like the last 2.5 years, but the tooling just haven't been there. Neither has been the UX. I literally have built a whole system to like support most of the stuff. The last thing was just like accepting payment. And now that you said I ain't gotta have to worry about that, I'm about to delete that Asana project board and have a life. Thank you so much for bringing back.
You got change it so we got y'all. You know what I mean? Like, just take it straight. You still not using it no more?
Yeah. But I'm so glad you're here. I know you said you're a little late, but I think you're right on time because you saved me. I'm pretty sure you saved some other people in this room, and you're going to continue to save some people with the words that you share while you're here with us. But I actually wanted to shift up the conversation just a little bit because we talked about a lot of different themes here tonight. We talked about our journey into tech, how we started to transition into Web3, the different type of support we have found in Web3 that we didn't always find that easily in Web2, and how we're able to bridge the gap and jump between working in Web 1, 2, and 3 and make it do what it do because we us, right? So I actually wanted to start talking about building and supporting and making sure that we have what we need to continue to move forward in whatever iteration of the internet that we're in. We shared a lot of links about how you can start to learn about this, and it's pinned to the top. I do want to share, one, you can join Baddies in Tech, because I'm just now seeing this tweet. There is no blockage there. You can just submit that form. But if you go back a couple of tweets, it is the second thing that is pinned to the top and the board, the nest at the top. There's a tweet from Tech by Choice saying that we're going to have another event to continue this conversation after we're done in this space tonight to talk about how we can start to leverage Web3 to find funding. We're going to start talking about Gitcoin. Currently, Baddies in Tech and Tech by Choice have an active grant on Gitcoin, meaning if you donate to both of our grants today, you can help us build out our community, and we would be able to leverage Gitcoin's quadratic funding, which I know sounds like a lot, Don't worry, we'll get into that in tomorrow's session so that we can break down what that means. But from a high level, all you got to know is if you donate $1 to us, that $1 can turn into a $100 match if enough of the people in the community starts to support each of our work. And the way that it works is because of quadratic funding. They have a system that allows the power of the community to dictate how much that match is. The more people that donate is the bigger the match gets and the bigger impact it has on each of the organizations that have grants live on Gitcoin. This is huge. I'm seeing amazing projects get backed and supported through this system, and they are reaching wild amounts of money because of this quadratic formula and the way that the matching happens. So we want everyone to understand how Gitcoin can help what we're currently building, what we're going to build in the future, and how other people can get involved, because it's not about just developers for Gitcoin. It's about community builders. It's about people who are artists, who are trying to just make a change and do social good. So there are a number of us who are in this room today, who are listening to this recording, who can take Gitcoin and turn it into something that is huge for them and their community and what they're building. So, I definitely want to, what should we do next? Because I actually just realized I no longer have an agenda. And if there's unstructured me out there in the wild in my current state, things are going to get interesting. Should we introduce our grants real quick, and then we could just have this open discussion?
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah, let's chill our grants real quick. Tell everybody, like, what we're building, what the money's going to be used for. And then I think we should start letting other speakers up in case, like, people have questions about Web3, about transitioning into Web3, about building a project in Web3, whatever the case may be.
Love to see it. Do you mind going first?
Yeah, I can go first. So, like I said at the beginning of this space, I'm Ali Joy. I'm the founder of Baddies in Tech. I founded Baddies in Tech in 2019, really, because I was looking for my own network. And it's, I never set out to, like, build an organization. I never set out to build a business for real. It just kind of happened that way. And, like, we thank God because, it's definitely helped me grow. And it's grown my career, my network, and just, like, given me purpose in this life. I think purpose is important, right? But, now as I've grown, I've seen, like, I've been able to really, like, learn about the people in our community, who they are, what they need, and we've, like, understood that there's, like, two kinds of, like, tech baddies, right? So there's first tech baddies, like, trying to, like, aspiring, right? Like, trying to break into tech, trying to start their first, like, tech job or, find out where they fit in the tech space. And then the second tech baddie is, like, women of color, been in the space for a minute, but maybe they're the only at their workplace, and they're looking for, like, connection, they're looking for networks, they're looking for, like, ways to grow. And they want to, like, give back and bring more people into the space with them so that those same people don't have to go through the same things they've gone through. And so we're building a DAO now to kind of bring all of that effort under one umbrella and to be able to all contribute to sharing resources, sharing opportunities. In terms of, like, our Gitcoin grant, we're raising funding now so that we can build out the DAO structure and the DAO membership. But what that money is going to go to is actually a community treasury, which is a multi-sig wallet, or essentially meaning that I'm not the only owner of the wallet. Like, I can't just do whatever I want with the money. The community actually can, like, sign transactions on the wallet, or has to sign transactions on the wallet in order for the money to be used for certain things. And so we want to create the treasury so that we can fund micro grants for, like, education for women of color who can't afford boot camp, or they can't afford courses that they need to, like, learn the tech skills that will allow them to join the industry. Like I said before, we have a vision of 10% by 2030. So we really, really want to increase the representation of women of color in computing roles from 4% to 10% by 2030. And we know that we can only do that by all coming together. And so, yeah, we want to fund that vision through the community and through the community wallet and allow the community to have a say in what we do. So that looks like, I said, micro grants for tech education. It looks like a shared resource or like an open source resource database where anyone who wants to contribute to the DAO can come and contribute a resource that they've maybe gotten through their employer or through their communities. And so that way you don't have to share that resource with your family group chat and annoy them to join the tech industry when they don't want to. You can actually share it with people who want that. We're looking at expanding our mentorship program. So that looks like mentor matching for anyone in the community, whether you're mid-level or senior level or junior level. We're all just going to mentor each other because even, mid-level and senior level people need mentors too. And then lastly, it also looks like campus and city chapters so that, when you are getting into the tech industry or you're in the tech industry, you don't leave because you're lonely as fuck because there's no other women of color that look like you in the space. So, yeah, we have a lot planned, but it really just looks like democratizing, decision-making in baddies in tech and, bringing together all the effort that women of color are making to increase representation under one umbrella so that we can amplify that. So, yeah, please donate to our Gitcoin grant. It's $1. It doesn't mean much to you, but it means a lot in quadratic funding, and it really goes a long way to helping women of color get into this space.
Love it, love it. I think there are, people might have a few questions about how to give to this program because we know that sometimes the UX and Web3, it seems like some people forgot all of the UX standards that we have came up with in Web2. We don't know why this is, but it is a thing that happens, and we are here to help support and help people navigate that. If you go a pin back in the nest above, you will see that the Baddies in Tech grant is up there. So if you would like to contribute to this grant, check out that link. Make sure you add them to your cart and go ahead and give that donation. The link that I just pinned is actually more details about the Tech by Choice grant. Within our Dev2 article, we do have a step-by-step guide with screenshots on how you can create a Gitcoin account, how to create a wallet, and we have details on how you can contribute to these different grants. So all of that information is laid out. We even have YouTube videos that will walk you through this process because we get it. This website can be confusing. And there are some steps that are not that intuitive to people who are not used to Web3. And that's okay. We're all in the process of learning. So we just wanted to make sure those resources were available to you and they were easy for you to find. We also have resources to explain quadratic funding because it's a big deal, but it's also hard to understand, and the websites that are currently out there don't really do a good job to just say it in plain English, so we try to do that as well. As far as the grant that we have live for Tech by Choice, we are focused on making sure that, again, underrepresented communities know that they can interstate and thrive in tech. So to do that, we realize that if we really want to show up for people, we got to show up for our community the same way that other people have done it in the past. So Tech by Choice is actually modeled after the Black Panther Party. Super radical, super about their people, about showing up and giving value in a way that help people get to the bottom line and take that next step to thrive. And that's exactly what we do at Tech by Choice. We offer mental health, financial literacy, and what to do if you face discrimination in the workplace, on top of personal development, professional development. So we understand if we're working with underestimated communities, there's barriers that they face that a lot of people don't think about when they say, hey, work in tech, make more money, pull yourself up from the bootstraps. Cool, great. That's a possibility. But if we don't address those other themes, we're going to be in the same cycle. So we're trying to address that in this community, as well as focus on our joy. So we do have fun events. And when I say focus on our joy, it's what we're doing for our open source initiative is really about centering people's joy, being able to work in community to build hands-on experience to help people who are in that gray area of transitioning into tech. Whether you're a recent bootcamp grad or you're a self-taught technologist, whether you're doing design, UX, you're a developer, technical writer, whatever it may be, if you're trying to get hands-on experience to show hiring managers that you can work in tech and you have the skills that you need to succeed for that job, this program will help you get that and will pay you to do open source. Now, this is great because for a lot of us, we talked about it already. We're all about the money and getting to it as quickly as possible. And if we're going to be honest, some of us cannot work in open source for free. We got our own bills to pay, mouths to feed, on top of the credit and all that other stuff. So this program will offer paid open source program. We will also pair you with a mentor directly. So not only will you have help with building and getting hands-on experience, but you'll have a mentor that can guide you through this whole entire experience. This is not the first time that we ran this program. The first time we did it, we had really great success. We had 3 people go from completing the program to landing their first job within about like a 3 to 4 month span. And our mentor went from a developer and IC, individual contributor, to a engineering manager based off of the skills that he was able to pick up from this program. Last time I checked in with him, he was on path to being a director in a span of 2 years. So this program is key because not only does it help people enter the industry, it helps them stay and thrive on a lot of different levels, from your first job to getting into leadership and to going beyond just that. So if you feel like this is something that you would like to be a part of, whether you are a contributor to the open source programs or if you are looking to be a mentor, you want to see this project come to life, go ahead and check the link to the pinned tweet at the top. You'll get access to, again, the Gitcoin grant. The article will give you a step-by-step guide on how to create a Gitcoin grant. Create a MetaMask. Make sure you get some money in there so you can donate to both the Tech by Choice grant as well as the Baddies grant, so that way we can get those dollars, have the match happen, and be able to support our community. And that is my pitch. Fingers crossed that is the last time I do that tonight, because we're going to open it up and just chit chat.
Okay, you know I'm with the chit chat. All right, Auntie, all right, so this is the thing. Baddies, you know what I mean? Like, what are we building for the next hackathon? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Anyone TPM, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? What's the plans?
No, for real. How do we get to this money? That's the question. We need to form a team. Because we got Kai, smart contract developer. We got Danny, TPM. So that's like really 2 key people right there. We just need like a marketing person. And then what else? What else we need?
The team is already there.
It's really there.
I mean, like, I clearly bring nothing. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool.
I'm sad.
That was cool. I appreciate that. Shout out.
I'll supervise. Y'all seen that? It was like a video of like some construction worker, and he was like supervising the build. And somebody was like, "This is what technical project managers do, or product managers do." Y'all, I have video.
No, that is not right. I feel like that's engineering managers.
Drop the link.
Because that's all I do at work. I'm just like, oh, y'all good? That's great. You're so good at this job. Let me go back to my Google Doc. Thank you.
That should be merch. No, you go back to your Notion. That's what
Oh,
She
we
said
doing
she's doing a
Notion
lot of
here?
things.
Okay.
I was like, my team be needing everything for me.
Yeah, she's in Web3. It's the Lego blocks girl. They don't have this stuff together. No. Okay.
We got the blocks in Web 2, and I love it.
I feel like Notion is like the Google Docs, Microsoft Office equivalent for Web3. So definitely learn Notion if you're trying to get into Web3. You gotta put that on your resume. There's also a whole, if y'all get on Reddit, there's a whole subreddit for Notion that teaches you like really cool things about Notion and how you can personalize like your Notion homepages and like make them cute and like just fun features that you didn't know Notion had. There's like a whole subreddit dedicated to it. So like I find all sorts of interesting things. Or if I have like problems or I'm trying to like build things, I literally go to the Notion subreddit before I go to the Notion documentation. I love that. Does anyone have questions? Does anyone want to come up and ask like a Web3 career related question? Or
What if I have a question?
Well, you can ask. You got your mic. Ask questions.
Nah, I wonder. I was like, y'all bold enough to go to Reddit now? Oh, that's because of Serena. I get it because I'm like. Every time somebody said they're doing this stuff on Reddit, I was like, oh my God.
I'm so happy you said that because the other day I'm just like, I never remember Serena's husband is big in this space because of Reddit. I just know him because he's Serena's husband, and like a whole bunch of people were in my
Oh, see, no, girl, he came from Charlottesville.
No, don't tell me you're not going to agree with me. I'm done with this conversation. I'm sorry. I thought we were on the same page. I guess not.
No, girl, means, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, hello. Like, now, I did know before that. And then I said, okay, so Serena, but see, she played tennis, right? So, you got to do a lot to shock her, right? Like, she was like, so he stepped down from the board, right, for a woman of color, right? Shocking to me, right? Like, but it's on the Instagram. My mom showed it to me. I said, wow.
I just think every time I think of them, I think about that story where like she was like, "Oh, I want pasta," so he took her to Italy.
Good point. See, that's when I see. Okay, so y'all have to talk about the real part. So that's when I miss being able to like just hang out with Black Twitter, right? Like whenever something happens, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I went from tech Twitter, Black Twitter to tech Twitter to crypto to like, what is this? Like, I just want to go hang out. Like, I just want to laugh and do the jokes, but no.
No, let off the jokes. Then they will just stop following you.
Musicians are for. So you gotta like go find the musicians, and the musicians they be out there, having fun and joking. So I'm like, there we go. That's how I find it again. That's how I find my joy. That's it.
No, I'm sorry. Wait. Oh, Scar. Hey, you're back. Welcome. I see your hand went up. Do you have a question?
So I don't know what happened the first time. I didn't request to speak the first time, so I don't know why I ended up as the speaker. But my question was, thank you for providing so much value. I don't think I had ever hit the heart button as many times as I have in this space. It's just really heartwarming to listen in on everyone's stories. My question was, after listening to some of your